What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Schneid. We're going to be drafting today again, as always. Every Wednesday, we're going to be doing this Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. where I live in Mountain Time. So we're going to get into a little bit of correlation talk, kind of how to. It's not like a written in stone, something that you must do, but I think you got to have a little bit of bring back, especially matching up with your quarterback selections and things like that. So we'll get into that. A little bit of an announcement. Starting next week, I'll have some guests coming on every Wednesday. So I've got a guest for the next 2 weeks ready to go. First up, good buddy on Twitter, Eagles. He goes by, as everybody knows him in the best ball streets. James Brimacombe. So he'll be on next Wednesday with me drafting live. I don't know if that'll be a puppy, if that'll be another poodle or Best Ball Mania. We'll see when we get there. And tune in next week to get some tips and some best ball talk with Eagles. And then again, the week after that, and so on and so forth. Hopefully some guys that you know, and we'll take it from there. It should be fun. But yeah, let's get into some correlation talk. And then we'll jump into a poodle. I'll definitely be max entering 20 max. So that's good. $7 entry. Pretty cool tournaments. I maxed out the poodle, have a couple slows going right now. The poodle one, which is kind of annoying. I'm not a big slow drafter. I'm not sure I like it, but it kind of is what it is. And I wanted to get my max 20. So that was the only way to do it. It fills fast. This one should be filling a little slower without the weekend. Once it gets to the weekend, I'm sure it'll fill extremely quickly, but we'll kind of take it from there. So let's jump into, like I said, some correlation talks. I'm going to show you a couple teams that I've had. This one's from the big board. A couple of, I think, poodle ones, maybe puppies. We'll get into those. It doesn't really matter where the tournament is from, but this one we got here was from the big board, the early big board. So you don't know schedule, NFL schedule. You don't know where the rookies are going to land, things like that. So this was one of my favorites that I tracked down. This is pretty much the structure that I was going with in the big boards: 3-6-8-3, 3 quarterbacks, 6 running back, 8 wide receivers, and 3 tight ends. About 90 or 95% of my big board teams were, structured this way. I just think it makes the most sense. And then heading into, regular best ball season, these poodles, it's 2-6-8-2 are going to be probably 80 to 90% of my teams drafted. But, it's a little more fluid in that regard. But like I said, so Deshaun Watson was a guy that is ADP in the big board, 82.3. I got him at pick 84. But in my opinion, he's kind of gone up in ADP. If you look at Mac Jones, 189.6 ADP in the Best Ball Mania and the Poodles and the Puppies. He's up over 200 now. Yes, that could have something to do with his playoff schedule a little bit, but obviously people are drafting less quarterbacks in these Puppies, Best Ball Mania, Poodles. They're only usually drafting 2, so less quarterbacks are being drafted. So we've seen his ADP rise. We have not seen Deshaun Watson's ADP rise. So realistically, sorry, did I say up? It's gone down. In my opinion, his ADP has kind of gone down just with the natural flow of having less roster spots in the big board, puppy, poodles, that sort of a thing. So Bryce Young, rookie, didn't know where he was going. Austin Eckler, Bijan. And for correlation, this kind of worked out. Obviously, I stacked it up and I did not a little, but a lot less of drafting rookies in this year's big board. I think that was a big mistake I made last year, just kind of thinking that I was smarter than NFL GMs, I guess, and smarter than everyone else, and thinking that the rookies that I liked were going to have a role. A lot of them didn't. And then I obviously paid the price for that. So I drafted a lot less rookies, especially wide receivers, as you can see here. Only 1 rookie wide receiver, 0 rookie tight ends, a couple rookie running backs, but Bijan being one of them. Obviously, I'm not concerned about his production. So I kind of lucked out with some correlation. Again, this is just a quick correlation talk before we get into a draft. Ended up to backdoor myself a little bit of correlation. You got, Carolina with Jacksonville, got Cincinnati and the Chiefs playing in week 17. The Rams and I can't remember. New England got the Buffalo bring back. Minnesota with a little bit of Green Bay. that sort of thing. So I lucked out with a little bit of correlation, and I like this team. We got the double stack with Cleveland, single stack with the Patriots, and then Bryce Young. I was able to luck out and get with Carolina Panthers. So there you go, as well as Cedric Tillman. Surprisingly, I don't have Donovan Peoples-Jones on this team. Most teams that I drafted Deshaun Watson, I did have Peoples-Jones, but obviously got Cooper and Elijah Moore. And with the drafting of Cedric Tillman and the trading of Elijah Moore to the Browns, DPJ is just kind of plummeted. And it kind of just is what it is. There's really not much to say about that. It is what it is. It kind of hurts his value a ton. Most likely isn't going to be back on this team after this year. I think this is his last year as a contract year, but we'll see how that plays out. So I avoided it on this one. So there's a big board example. And now I'm going to pull up a quick puppy, or might have been a poodle. I'm not really sure. This is a quarterback stack. It's obviously not a stack on the same team, but this is a stack that I'm really, really liking. And I'm obviously going to be only drafting 2 quarterbacks in this structure, Justin Fields and Deshaun Watson. Little bit of a reach, if you want to call it that. Maybe 5 picks for Justin Fields. He's slipping a little bit, so I guess you could call it a reach. And then Deshaun Watson, got him at value, 7 picks over ADP. So it's a wash at quarterback if you're talking ADP, if you ask me. Bijan and Barkley, I think that's a fantastic one too. Obviously, I took my time drafting running backs after that start, which, that makes tons of sense. Those were my first 2 picks. I'm not just going to load up on running back. It just didn't make a ton of sense, especially picking Justin Fields as early as I did. And then with correlation, you got the Atlanta, the Chicago Bears correlation there. Didn't get anything with the Jets and Cleveland, but I stacked up both of my quarterbacks with their respective tight ends, David Njoku and Cole Kmet. And again, I got David Njoku at an ADP discount, 10 picks past his ADP, and then took Cole Kmet about 10 picks above his ADP. So I'm kind of washing that out again at my tight end spot. I'm not super concerned about that to get my stacks for what I'm doing and for what I'm kind of building over here. And then I got the correlation Kansas City with a little bit of Cincinnati. Seattle, Pittsburgh, I believe, is one. It is the Giants and the Rams. I got a little bit of correlation there. No, I thought I had Van Jefferson on this one. Las Vegas and Indy might have been a different team. I was thinking, geez, maybe not quite as much correlation as I'm thinking here, but I'm probably missing something. Arizona with Philly, a little bit of correlation there. So yeah, this is just an example of how to build a little bit of correlation, and build out a lineup without reaching too much. Just a quick example. Last one I got to show you guys. This one might be my favorite, actually. Dak Prescott and Geno Smith. So with these quarterbacks, that's I've said before, I kind of reached on Dak, but it is what it is because I had CeeDee Lamb there, and that's where I was going with this. And then Geno Smith, I've said it a few times on this channel and on another stream. Dak is probably the lowest I'll go for my kind of QB1, my first quarterback that I'm drafting. He's probably the last guy that I'm taking. I think, and I'm not the only one here. I know a lot of people, a lot of drafters are taking quarterbacks higher than, in years past. And like I said about Deshaun Watson, that's why, his ADP staying stagnant from the big board. To me, that's a little bit more value on Deshaun Watson, and we'll see how that plays out. And he's a guy that I've been targeting and will continue to target. But then, you got to bring it back with Dak Prescott. Either I'm going 3 quarterbacks or I bring it back with another quarterback within my next couple picks and, going back to back, double tapping QBs, that sort of a thing. So Dak Prescott, Geno Smith, brought it back with Noah Fant, Kyle Pitts. And again, high end kind of tight end, a little bit of a reach, few picks above his ADP, not a big deal. And then I bring it back with the stack and Noah Fant, with Tyler Lockett, CeeDee Lamb. I don't see a huge necessity to double stack the Cowboys, if I'm being honest. They've made no secret that they plan on running the ball a little bit more. So that's obviously going to hurt Dak potentially, but CeeDee Lamb is going to be getting the lion's share of targets on this team. Obviously, from Dak Prescott, they have rapport. So anytime I'm drafting CeeDee Lamb, anytime I'm drafting 10, 11, probably 12, somewhere around there, I'm probably taking CeeDee Lamb. And the majority of the time, I'm going to be bringing it back with Dak Prescott for the stack. And that's probably it. I might mix in the occasional Brandon Cooks, not particularly looking at tight end because there's just so many options there. Schoonmaker, I think Jake Ferguson's still going to have a role. Pendershot's still going to have a role. If you want to mix in a Tony Pollard in there as well, be my guest. I haven't been doing that too much, but there's that. And then I have the correlation with Detroit, bringing it back with Jahmyr Gibbs. This is, I think, the team where I had correlation with Indy. So I've got Vegas with Jacoby Myers, bringing it back against Jonathan Taylor. Again, Pittsburgh, Najee Harris with the Seattle stack with my quarterback. Countless Khalil Herbert with Kyle Pitts, just countless kind of stacks. But I'm also taking guys that I believe in, and I'm taking them at ADP or past, right? 14 picks past ADP for Khalil Herbert, right at ADP 58th for Kyle Pitts. I'm not really reaching there. So yeah, I think that there's a lot to be said to doing that and just kind of, picking up correlation where you can, and then also stacking. And this is where I had that Giant stack. Maybe not. Geez, I'm mixing these teams together, but either way, what I'm saying is you're picking guys at their ADP, but you're also looking to stack for week 17 stacks. And it's not just your quarterbacks. And I'm not doing this on every team either. I'm not just looking to correlate and then reaching or finding a guy that's going to correlate with a week 17 matchup from a guy drafted previously. Obviously, I'm not just doing that. It's got to make sense. So a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs makes tons of sense. Stack it up with Dallas. Perfect. Jacoby Myers, 6 picks above ADP. That's not a big deal. Bradley Stalder was talking about it on his stream the other day. I talked about it last week, that tweet put out by Hayden Winks, 84% of, draft picks in the 2021, I believe, big board 2, that would have been 84% were picked within 12 spots of their ADP, either, before or after ADP. And I'm trying to stay in that range. I'm really just trying to keep it within that, at least as close to it as I possibly can. So I'm not reaching, but I am trying to mix in my stacks and kind of keep it all together. So yeah, that's just a quick little snippet on how to look for correlation, but not overextend yourself. Obviously this one's a pretty balanced build. I really like this team quite a bit. We'll see how it works out with Jalen Hyatt and, the magnificent, marvelous Mad Marvin Mims, coined that term. So giving that tongue twister there from Sword in the Stone, if you know what I'm talking about. But there you go. There's a little bit of correlation, a little kind of rundown on things that I'm looking to do. And I'll show you this quick as well. This was from last week. If you're watching again, I'll show it again. Just my kind of cheat sheet that I built, and I'll be using this all summer. I might touch on it a few times. I'll show it to probably all my guests and see what they think about it. And, hopefully it works out for me. It's all color coded, makes sense. Watch last week's episode if you want a little more in depth, or, send me a message on Twitter, something like that, if you want a more in-depth explanation of what this is. But this is what I use every time I draft. I bring it up so I know who I'm taking. I know where I'm going. I'm not getting caught with my pants down or anything like that while drafting. And I can build some correlation if, it's between two guys. I can look at some correlation or not and decide from there. So that's just something that I've kind of built for myself. I recommend you maybe build something of your own that makes sense to you, that you like, that like I said, just makes sense, and you can call on while you're drafting. Now let's jump into what we came for, Poodle 2. So like I said, I will be max entering this sucker, and I think I'm at 3 so far. So let's mix in another one. We got 31% filled. I'll be drafting after the stream is over as well. So if you don't catch it, if you don't catch the stream, then hopefully I'll see you in the streets after the stream is over here. But jumping in, waiting for one person. I reset my rankings, or I will be resetting my rankings. I just kind of canceled my rankings. So I'm going to have to start doing that again. Like I said last week, I'm only looking to rank. Maybe I might get to 100. I might rank up to 100. But beyond that, I don't think it's particularly necessary. I like to stick around the ADP anyways. I like to know if I'm getting value. Obviously, get your guys, and I like to take my guys. Obviously, if you watch this show, if you know my exposures, that sort of thing, I take my guys and I take hard stances, and I kind of go from there. But I'm probably, like I said, only going to rank maybe up to 100, 75 to 100, something like that, just so I have it early on. And then I'm going to be using my queue to kind of set up who I'm going to be taking, look ahead in the draft, check the picks, kind of work at that way. That's how I like to draft. Whether it works for you or not, whatever works for you. But that's kind of what I do, just so I know who I'm taking, where am I taking them ahead of ADP. I'm pick 99 and this guy's ADP 106, not a reach. Hopefully I should be able to get him there. And then I plan out my draft that way. So that's kind of how I like to do it. Jefferson Chase, pretty textbook. This is where it can go a few different ways, but Christian McCaffrey's the most likely pick here. Tyreek Hill is another. Bijan Robinson. I've taken Bijan Robinson as high as I think 4. I think that's as high as I would go for Bijan, maybe 5. I've definitely taken him at 5, but that's probably the highest that I would go personally on Bijan, but I can't really hate it, to be honest with you. Do what you got to do. All right, do we go with Tyreek Hill? Travis Kelce, potentially. The thing I don't like about taking Travis Kelce is you got to back it up with Patrick Mahomes, and then that just kind of thins you out at wide receiver and running back. So I don't think I'm going to be taking Kelce. I'm going to be going with AJ Brown because I'd much rather go with wide receiver, quarterback, because I almost certainly will be taking Jalen Hurts unless someone for some reason scoops him on me. But I'd much rather go that route, so I have a solid wide receiver there. Tight end is not a premium for me. I would much rather wait a little bit and grab a guy like TJ Hawkinson if I'm going to go tight end early, which I have been getting a fair amount of Hawkinson and Kyle Pitts, those types of guys. So I'd probably rather go that route than Kyle Pitts. An extreme amount. Than Travis Kelce an extreme amount, but I am getting, my Travis Kelce exposure. Don't get me wrong. Another reason why I like Philly, I absolutely adore their playoff schedule. It's super, super juicy. Seattle, New York Giants, and then what might be the worst defense in the league in the Arizona Cardinals in week 17. So with those matchups, yeah, I'm a big fan of taking a lot of Eagles, which I have been doing. CeeDee Lamb at 12. This is a pretty textbook. Bring it back with Amon-Ra, in my opinion. That's what I like to do. Goes with Garrett Wilson. Can't really hate it, I suppose, but 99 times out of 100, I'm backing it up with Amon-Ra St. Brown if I'm taking CeeDee Lamb at the turn there. Running back still on the board. There goes Taylor, Barkley. I'd like to see these quarterbacks continue to fall. It's just a little too risky to not take Hurts here. Josh Allen goes early. Yeah, to back it up there. Okay. Travis Kelce, Chris Olave doesn't back it up. Interesting. I might get a little bit freaky here, actually, and take Saquon, week 16 correlation with AJ Brown, and you never know. We've been seeing Jalen Hurts and the quarterback slip. I personally don't really see it happening with Devontae Smith, where his ADP is. If I'm sitting, at the turn, at the top of the draft, first, second, overall in the draft, I've gotten that stack a few times with Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith. So if I'm there, that's what I'm doing. But I'm going to switch this up and get a little different with Saquon in the week 16 correlation. Yeah. Waddle, Chubb. The Tyreek drafter does not back it up with Waddle. Interesting. Jalen Hurts, there he goes. No shocker there. Wasn't super expecting him to get back to me. I was kind of hoping, but we'll see where we go with the quarterback situation. Typically, I'm drafting, one of those two. To be honest, I'm not drafting a ton of Josh Allen, and I probably should be, and I probably will adjust that a little bit and get my exposure a little bit up there, a little bit higher for Josh Allen. But I'm drafting an absolute ton of Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. And again, I'd like to see those ADPs slip a little bit more, just to bring in a few more options for what you can do. You're either reaching for one or the other, which is the problem. In this situation here, if I'm taking AJ Brown, then I'm reaching for Jalen Hurts. If I take AJ Brown earlier in the draft, I'm reaching for AJ Brown. So it's kind of the problem that you're going to face when you're trying to get that correlation is, you're reaching for someone. At the end of the day, you're reaching for someone. 31. See who falls to me here. I'd really like to get DK Metcalf here and then likely build out a Seattle Seahawks stack who play Philadelphia in week 15. Again, just a little bit more correlation, not just looking at week 17. I look at 16 and 15 as well and try to build out as much correlation as I kind of possibly can. And again, if it's between kind of a one or the other type of a situation, then I'm going to take a look at some correlation and take the guy that's going to match up for week 17, maybe 16 even if it's 15 late in the draft, that sort of thing. If it's, like I said, if it's a one or the other situation, I'm probably going with correlation. Mark Andrews, DK right before I draft. Awesome. Not a big fan of Breece Hall at all. And then I pick at 42. All right, let's get a little creative. I'm going to go with Debo. Get a little bit creative here. We'll see how this draft kind of works out, but I've been thinking a lot about Trey Lance and taking a little more Trey Lance these days. If we remember last year, Trey Lance was, I think, ADP, I don't know, around 120, something like that. And then with how he looked in, over the summer and in training camp and things like that, his ADP absolutely skyrocketed. And I think there's potential that happens again. He's been working with Patrick Mahomes' quarterback coach. He's third overall, and they traded a boatload to get him. So I'm going to look to mix in a little more Trey Lance in what might end up being 3 quarterback builds. And obviously with some sort of stack, either with Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, 2 of the 3, whatever it is. And kind of just see what happens. If his ADP ends up skyrocketing up to, it got up to, I think, in the 70s last year, right at the end in August. I think it got up to the 70s, definitely into the 80s. So it jumped about 40 spots or something crazy like that. He's going at what? ADP, where is he even? 177. Like, I'm not expecting him to jump 100 spots in ADP, that's for sure. but I wouldn't be shocked if he gets up to 120 and he jumps higher, more spots than he did last year and gets, up 50 points on ADP. And if he does, then I should be, relatively unique for drafting early. And we'll see how that works out. But I've been thinking about it a lot lately, and I'm gonna be, investing a little more into Trey Lance, in the next few drafts I do and throughout the summer, and we'll see what happens with his ADP. Really would have liked Amari Cooper. Might be going with Christian Watson here. Justin Fields, I don't hate. Might set up Chargers correlation or Chargers stack, which I don't hate at all. Again, I talked about it last week. That's a team that is just kind of falling off a little bit for no real particular reason either, to be honest with you. I do like some Justin Fields. I do like Justin Fields quite a bit, but I am going to try to set up this Chargers stack because I don't have it much. So let's go Mike Williams. Let's go with Mike Williams. I don't have much exposure to Mike Will, so let's see how this ends up. Hopefully I can bring it back with Justin Herbert, but you can always get scooped right around here, right at the turn for Keenan Allen. If basically any of these guys, until me pick Keenan Allen, I could get scooped and sniped on the Justin Herbert Chargers stack. And we'll see how it works out. This might be a team that I end up absolutely despising, if I'm being honest. Maybe I should have just taken Justin Herbert or Justin Fields there, but we'll see how it works out. Wish me luck. Hopefully Justin Herbert falls. He has been falling. And all the Chargers have. And again, last year they were being drafted at a massive premium, and now we're seeing them fall. So, hopefully we can get some value there. Theoretically, the team should be better, actually. So we'll see. Christian Kirk might be setting up a Jacksonville stack, I would imagine. A couple picks before me. Drake London, I like that pick. Big fan of Drake London. If you watched last week's stream, the Atlanta Falcons are a team I'm kind of planting a flag on. I'm drafting a lot of Atlanta Falcons as well as Chicago Bears. I'm stacking that game quite a bit. We'll see how it works out, but that's the game, and those are the teams that I'm kind of planting my flag on. Basically, two more picks. If either of these guys pick Keenan Allen in these next two picks, I might get scooped on my Chargers stack. Justin Fields is still there too. If Justin Fields makes his way to me at 55, I might have to abandon it. Oh, Bob and Weave takes Keenan Allen. Let's see if the 48-49 turn, Fields and DJ Moore makes sense. And then Justin Herbert for Bob and Weave. And I'm going to start despising my team. Good times. Well, we'll see how this works out, but it's probably going to be George Kittle if he makes it to me. And then I'm working on a San Francisco stack, and I need some Washington bring back, maybe Baltimore. If he doesn't take Justin Herbert, I'd be shocked. All right. Nuke Hopkins, let's see. Let's see if he gets back to me. In theory, Justin Herbert makes his way back to me. You got to think this Aaron Joseph guy takes the Jacksonville stack unless he's hoping he slips. Trevor Lawrence. This guy is not taking another quarterback with Jalen Hurts. Just doesn't make sense there. So yeah, in theory, I should be getting Justin Herbert. But if there's any auto picks, that might throw a wrench in that. Kittle. Okay. Still got a chance for Ayuk, potentially. All right, in theory, this is going to work out. I'm going to get Justin Herbert and set up the stack. Of course, he takes Justin Herbert. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you take Justin Herbert there? Well, really hate that. Really hate that. Might have to just set up the San Francisco stack and kind of see what happens. I'm going to have to buy in on Trey Lance. This is likely going to be a 3-quarterback build. This room doesn't make, not all these draft picks make a ton of sense. Martin, Melt, not really sure why you go Justin Herbert there. You could take Geno, Tua, Kirk Cousins. Doesn't make tons of sense, but that's all right. We'll move forward. So I'm already kind of hating this team. All this talk about correlation and I'm kind of kicking myself and kind of hurting myself here, but I'll mix in some correlations. It's just going to be tough to figure out quarterback situation here with quarterbacks going basically at or before ADP pretty much everywhere. All right, Dameon Pierce, Kyle Pitts goes. That's a guy I would have looked at. Goddard can't go with. Really don't mind Miles Sanders at all, even if he's just a standalone. I just think he's going to have a decent year. Rebuilt offensive line, offensive coach who used to coach him. Makes tons of sense. If he falls to me, 11 picks after ADP, I'm going to have to be taking Miles Sanders here just to keep everybody honest on this one. I could take a look at Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant, get some Geno action. George Pickens with Kenny Pickett, maybe Pat Freiermuth. A lot of late stacks you can look at. A lot of late stacks that you can look at to fill it out if you kind of get sniped and kicked around where you didn't expect it. Holy moly, just getting sniped left, right, and center. Well, all right, what do we got to do here? I might just have to set up a Pittsburgh Steeler stack. Which I kind of hate, but it is what it is. Yeah, I definitely need to get some running backs going forward here as well. Kind of hate. I hate this team. If I'm being honest, I really hate my team, but we're having fun anyways. So I'm definitely going to try to set up the Pittsburgh stack. Gonna have to bring it back with Seattle somewhere, which is likely going to be either here or right here. I don't like to draft 2 quarterbacks from the same game, so I won't be taking Geno. I'll just bring it back with one of those 2 Seattle players that I have there. Cincinnati, wouldn't mind bringing that back for Pittsburgh. Probably Tyler Boyd. So this is what I like to do. Not too many people in the chat, so I won't do this as the hopefully the channel grows. Like and subscribe if you're watching. Send it to a friend. Help me out. Trying to build this thing out, get some guests on and that sort of thing. So yeah, help a guy out, build the channel a little bit. But when I have a few more people watching the stream live, I won't be doing this. Set my queue. This is what I like to do when I'm not drafting on a stream to make sure that I have it all set up. These are their ADPs. Take a look at the board, see where I'm coming up, plan out my draft. That's what I like to do. Again, if I'm not on stream and the EV on stream goes way down. And it's not just me, it's everybody, but that's kind of just how she goes. Won't be shocked if I get sniped on Hollywood Brown here, but that's where I'll be going, get the correlation with Philly, at least, keep some correlation. Could definitely use some running back help, and actually I might do that instead. I might be going with Alexander Madison. Yes, over Dalvin Cook. Or Rashad White, who I don't mind as well. No real correlation there. Or do I just try to kick the can down the line a little bit? I think I'm going to kick the can and go with only 7 wide receivers. I'm going to kick the can, go 7 wide receivers, light, hero running back build with Saquon Barkley. Just kick the can down the road a little bit. Get that correlation right at ADP for Hollywood Brown. And then I'll be able to draft those 3 quarterbacks that I'm likely to take. Potentially 3 tight ends. I'm going to have to choose either 3 quarterbacks or 3 tight ends. That's kind of what it boils down to. And we'll see what happens at the running back spot. If I can get Alexander Madison coming back, maybe David Montgomery, that might save me to keep it only 5 RBs, but it's getting pretty thin. So Kenny Pickett, Trey Lance. Maybe a Russ. So I can bring that back with Denzel Mims. Maybe CJ Stroud. Actually, I will likely be doing CJ Stroud. Because then I can do a few more things late in the draft to get a stack there with Houston. I've been doing a lot of Devin Singletary and Dalton Schultz and Tank Dell, even all 3 with Houston with CJ Stroud. I've been doing a fair amount of that. It's easy to get. I don't mind the team. They're going to be a bad team. They're going to have to throw the ball a little bit. They play the Tennessee Titans twice in the fantasy playoffs, including week 17. They're horrible against the pass. And especially if I'm building out a three quarterback, that's a pretty fragile 3 quarterback build, but I'm super strong at wide receiver, and I really don't particularly love this team. So kind of just punting my quarterback at this point, if I'm being honest. I don't want to just add a naked Dak or a naked, Anthony Richardson. I'm not picking Anthony Richardson at his ADP regardless, or a naked Kirk Cousins. I just don't really want to do that, and I won't. Do I take Dalvin Cook 20 points after his ADP? I kind of have to with this team. Yikes. And there he goes. Okay. So I'm going to take David Montgomery just because it makes the most sense. I would have taken Dalvin Cook there, even though I'm not taking very much, if any, Dalvin Cook realistically. But 20 points after his ADP, you got to kind of do it. So let's go David Montgomery here. Yes, he could inherit the Jamal Williams role. I just don't think that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be pounding the rock, and that's absolutely what David Montgomery can do. So, if Jamal Williams can score 20 touchdowns, I think we can get minimum 10 out of David Montgomery. I really don't, I'm not expecting like an extreme, over the top year from David Montgomery. I'm expecting a lot of this. And if that's what I get, if I get Zeke last year out of David Montgomery, that's all I need. That's all I'm looking for. And I think that's 100% attainable. That's kind of my take on David Montgomery. So I am taking him where I can. I'm not forcing it. If there's correlation, great. If there's not, I'm not too concerned. He's a good guy to get you to the playoffs as well and win your pod, right? Especially if I'm weak at running back, which I am, then I think it's a no-brainer kind of thing. I would like to get Zach Charbonnet over Noah Fant. We did see Kenny Walker miss a little bit of time at the end of last season. I'm a huge fan of Zach Charbonnet. So for that correlation with Seattle and Pittsburgh, that's where I would like to go with Zach Charbonnet. We'll see if he gets to me. If not, then I'm going to have to bring it back with Noah Fant. Because I am fully buying into as long as I don't get sniped. 103, I might have to take Pat Freiermuth there. So that's how I like to look at this and build this out. I can look at the board, see where I'm at. I'm at 114. So I'm hoping either I pick Freiermuth here at 103 or I hope that he makes it to 114. Now you can look through the draft and see what positions have been slipping. In this draft, it's running backs. It's certainly not quarterbacks. It's not particularly tight ends. It's not particularly wide receivers. It's absolutely running backs. Big part of it is me. I'm a big reason why I'm taking all these wide receivers early, going a little bit of a zero RB build sort of a thing. Honestly, I'm kind of hoping Zach Charbonnet gets picked so I can make it easier to take Pat Freiermuth. Because that's pretty much it for the pass catchers for Pittsburgh. I could take Jaylen Warren, I suppose. And realistically, there's other running backs in this area that have more of an established role than Zach Charbonnet, even Alvin Kamara, obviously AJ Dillon, Brian Robinson, Samaje Perine. But those are also guys that I can wait on if they're slipping. AJ Dillon goes, that's interesting. Njoku, man. I don't have much Charbonnet. Gets me correlation. I've been taking a lot of Kamara, but I've been avoiding them purposefully lately. I'm going to get a little bit different. I'm going to take Kamara here. I just can't pass up on that. We'll see if I even bring it back on the Pittsburgh stack. If I'm being honest, I might just... I don't know. We'll see. I absolutely despise this team. If I'm being honest with you, I really, really hate this team. I should have went with Justin Fields when I had the chance. I would probably be liking my build a hell of a lot more. I'm going to be hyper fragile at quarterback, which I don't love. Probably fragile at tight end, which, it is what it is. Not the end of the world. Hopefully Freiermuth falls to me at 114. That's really what I'm banking on here. And, realistically, unless someone has Deontay Johnson, or they just want a naked Freiermuth, sure. But that's going to be their second tight end for a lot of these guys. And I just don't particularly see that happening unless it's this guy snipes me or this guy. We'll kind of see how this plays out. This guy's clearly going to be getting Dak Prescott at some point, or already did. Dalton Kincaid. Oh, wow. That's an interesting build. Fingers crossed I don't get sniped again, because I'll definitely be taking Pat Freiermuth here. And then I might be able to keep it 2 tight ends, which is my ultimate goal. I don't want to be drafting too many 3 tight end teams. I don't want to be drafting too many 3 quarterback teams, but here we are. I'll be almost certainly doing that on this team. Pat Freiermuth goes. Yeah, of course he does. I might just finish up my wide receivers or take Damian Harris here. Let's finish out our wide receivers and finish strong. Tyler Boyd is my 7th wide receiver. I'm pretty happy with what I got going on here at wide receiver. I'm only going to be taking 7, so I'm going to leave it there. With these 3 running backs, that leaves the door open for a 3-5-7-3, which might be necessary. So yeah, we'll see how this kind of plays out with the rest of this draft. I absolutely hate this team, but it might kind of work out where I don't absolutely despise it if I'm able to build it with only 5 running backs. So where's my next pick here? 127, 138. Don't have to worry about my queued guys, my queued players that I basically, handcuff myself to. So I'll pretty much definitely be going running back here. I really don't mind Roschon Johnson. We'll see where Khalil Herbert goes because he's slipped. I've seen him slip. If Damian Harris is there, I would absolutely love that. Antonio Gibson, I would like. Potentially even Jamal Williams. They kind of paid him. The Saints kind of paid Jamal Williams, and that just kind of backs it up with Kamara. I don't despise stacking running backs like that, especially when they have completely opposite roles. And there's times where they could play this same week, right? If Jamal Williams runs in a touchdown and Kamara catches a touchdown pass, right? That's very possible that one ends up in your running back spot, one ends up in your flex spot, that sort of a thing. So we'll see how it kind of shakes out once we get there, but pretty much be going running back. No, I'm going to switch this unless it's Gibson. Unless it's Gibson for the San Francisco correlation as well, I'll be taking Dalton Schultz here for my Houston stack. Jamal Williams, and potentially even if it is, there's Gibson. Okay, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take Dalton Schultz because I'm going to build out this Houston stack. Bring it back with Noah Fant later in the draft. We'll see who's there at 138, but I would really not mind taking Roschon Johnson there, but I've been getting sniped left, right, and center in this draft. And then at 151, might have to reach for Singletary. I'd really rather not. 175. I'll probably have to reach for Singletary after that, but hopefully Roschon Johnson gets to me. Doubt he's there, but I would take Jerick McKinnon over him. We'll see how that works out. Jared Goff, Rashee Rice. Where are we at here? Elijah Mitchell. Russell Wilson was a guy I was thinking about because you can always bring it back with Marvin Mims and Greg Dulcich if you'd like. Man, Nico Collins is 133. There's just no way in the world that I'm clicking Nico Collins' name at pick 133. It's just not gonna happen. Period. I'm gonna ask the guests next week and the week after, and they're on after what their thoughts are on Nico Collins. At his ADP where he's at now, it's just a little bit crazy if you ask me. There's no way I'm clicking that name in the 12th round. It's just not happening. All right. Jerick McKinnon. Okay, no problem. We'll take Roschon Johnson. And I think if I get Devin Singletary with my next pick, which I will because I'm going to reach for him, and unless, oh man, then I got to make a decision here. Really don't like how this is 161.75 or 62.75. Sorry, I'm going to have to reach a few times here just to get this build that I'm working on. Yeah, I hate this team. Really hate how this is working out. I'm breaking a lot of rules that I talked about before this draft started, but you got to be a little nimble sometimes. And once you go down a certain path, you kind of got to stick with it for better or worse. And you never know. I don't anticipate this team working out for me, but if Trey Lance finally gets there, CJ Stroud is, similar to Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson in their rookie years, 20 something, 21, 22 touchdowns, 7 to 10 interceptions, runs in a couple, cool, and then helps me out in the playoffs. That's all I'm really looking for. Trey Lance needs to be that guy for this team to succeed realistically, and Kenny Pickett's gonna have to take a massive step forward, which I don't think is crazy either. I could see him 20 to 25 touchdowns, 10 to 15, more like 10 to 12 interceptions, that sort of a thing. He's got that rushing upside, which I like. So we'll see how this team works out, but I'm not a big fan of this, what I'm building here. If I'm being honest, this is probably one of my least favorite teams I've ever drafted. If I'm, in this year, if I'm being honest. All right. Okonkwo. Yeah, 11 picks after ADP. Can't get mad about that. I'm not a big Okonkwo guy, if I'm being honest with you. Good real life football player, but not someone that I'm looking to click in fantasy, if I'm being honest with you, or in best ball for sure, obviously. And Singletary, I think this is a little low for him. Dameon Pierce got banged up at the end of last year. He should be the preferred pass catching back in this offense. That's for sure. 40 and 38, 78 catches in the last 2 years. I think that he should be the preferred pass catcher in this offense, and he's going to get some run too. I think total we could see it's probably 8 to 12 touches with Dameon Pierce in the lineup. If Dameon Pierce misses a little time, then Devin Singletary could be that bell cow type of a running back. So honestly, I could see his ADP moving up. So I'm not that upset. I'm taking him right at the 12, spots above ADP, which I don't love, but I'm just doing kind of what I got to do. And especially with this running back room, I think that, I might be able to lean on him a little bit early with Roschon Johnson and Alvin Kamara. David Montgomery and Barkley are going to be my 1-2 at the running back position. My flex will more than likely be filled by a wide receiver pretty well every week. So I really only need 2 running backs to play. And that's most likely going to be Barkley and Montgomery. Bye weeks are late. Kamara comes in. Roschon Johnson comes on as a rookie, and Devin Singletary picks off, a week here and there. So it is what it is. Don't like it, but that's what I'm doing. Let's see if I can see where Kittle went. He's got Jalen Hurts. So this is the guy that I'm concerned about taking Trey Lance on me. Is this team right here? He's got Kittle. He's got Kittle and McCaffrey. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to take actually Trey Lance right here, because he's going to have 2 picks before I pick again. One of those picks is going to be Trey Lance if I don't take him. That's kind of just how this draft is gone, number 1. And it's what I would do, number 2. And the way he's building his team just tells me that that's what he's going to do. So that's what I'm going to assume. And I'm going to just draft Trey Lance here. Conbets, this is the guy that took a naked Pat Freiermuth. I highly doubt he takes Kenny Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett should fall a little bit. And that's the guy that I'm going to be taking at 175 right here. Right at ADP, realistically. So it's not any kind of reach, nothing like that. I am reaching on Trey Lance here way more than I'd particularly like, but with building the Debo and Ayuk, I've kind of pigeonholed myself. I've kind of backed myself into a corner where I have to take Trey Lance at this point. All my quarterbacks have different bye weeks. That's absolutely what I'm looking for. I'll probably do the same thing with tight end just so I can get as much, play out of those guys, the most amount of opportunity for those guys to crack my lineup. Yeah, highly doubt I get sniped on Trey Lance here, considering how far ahead of his ADP I'm going to be taking him. Reluctantly puking my mouth a little bit. Especially with these wide receivers right here, Jaden Reed, Marvin Mims, two guys that I absolutely love. Chase Brown right there, I absolutely love them. But I got to do what I got to do. Otherwise, Tanner 1-5 will be taking Trey Lance, in my opinion. So now he probably pivots and takes, Purdy, most likely. We'll see how this kind of shakes out. So if I go Kenny Pickett here and then CJ Stroud, builds out my, kind of completes my my stacks, my single stack for Kenny Pickett, double stack for Trey Lance, double stack for CJ Stroud. Bring it back later with Noah Fant. And then I am going to do 3-5-7-3. As long as I don't get sniped on any of these guys and there's no issues there. But even if I do get sniped on Kenny Pickett, honestly, it's not the end of the world. I'll take Mac Jones if I have to. Naked, yes, but I'll take him. Yeah. Maybe even Purdy. If I had to, just to make sure I get the San Francisco quarterback and then watch it's Darnold. But I might even do that just to make sure I get the San Francisco quarterback, because they should be successful regardless of who's playing quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. I like the offense. I like the offensive coordinator. I like the team. And that's just what I would do if for some reason I miss out on Kenny Pickett. Wow, Noah Fant goes way ahead of ADP. 39 picks ahead of ADP for Noah Fant. That is interesting. Makes me less. I might just take Bryce Young instead of Kenny Pickett. No, I'll keep Kenny Pickett. But if I miss out on Kenny Pickett, it's less important now. It's less important that I get Kenny Pickett. So go ahead and snipe me if you want. Not likely to happen. I might even push this. At quarterback because I don't really care anymore about the Pittsburgh-Seattle game stack. I would have taken Zeke there. That's where I was going with it. But, or no, sorry, I have 5. I was on another team. I thought I had 4 running backs for a second there. So Kenny Pickett it is. I thought I had 4 running backs. I was going to take Zeke to round out my 5th running back, but I do have 5. I could, yeah, makes sense. You think I can remember the team I'm drafting here. So Kenny Pickett, then I go Stroud, and then just kind of 2 other tight ends. Likely Trey McBride. Oh no, I got Hollywood Brown, so Conklin. Don't mind any of these guys. Even Michael Mayer. Kate Otten. Don't mind any of these guys as kind of my, tight end 2/3. Fant should have still been there. That's a little insane that he goes before all these guys and 39 picks ahead of ADP. Very interesting. Wow, tight ends. I guess that's right at ADP. That's okay. Is he going to be picking Garoppolo there? That's interesting. So finish it up with Stroud. And then two of these tight ends I have here. Don't exactly particularly care, but we'll look at some correlation here. Tampa Bay, New Orleans. I do have Kamara there, week 17. Jacksonville, Green Bay, not a big deal. Arizona, I already have Hollywood Brown, so I'd prefer to not take Trey McBride. New England with Buffalo. I don't have any Buffalo, so no correlation there. Indianapolis, Vegas, Atlanta, and Pittsburgh. No Vegas, no Atlanta, but I do have some Pittsburgh, so that's a week 15 correlation. Jets, Cleveland, Washington, Miami, nothing there. So probably bump Cade Otton up my list because that at least gives me week 17 correlation. And we go CJ Stroud, complete our stacks, mix in a couple late tight ends, and we're off to the races there. So yeah, keep in mind some guests coming on next week. Again, James Brimacombe is going to join me, Eagles, on Underdog Best Ball, OG of Best Ball. Join me next week for a conversation, and we'll see. Probably seems like it might be a Best Ball Mania. We'll see how that works out, but we'll be drafting together on that one, and then we'll get into the guest for the week after, and then so on and so forth. We'll have guests from there on out. So I'll be drafting another 1 or 2 Poodles after the stream is over, so join me there if you want to jump in some drafts. Definitely trying to fill this, trying to max enter. I think this will be my 4th. I'm going to try to get up to 8 or so tonight, and then I'll be hammering drafts tomorrow to make sure that I fill it up with fast drafts. I don't want to be doing slow drafts for the Poodle, to be honest with you. I got a couple slow drafts. Maybe we'll do that too. I got some slow draft picks. We'll do that after this draft is over. I'll take a look at my slow drafts, where I'm at, and it'll give us a little more time to talk through it. So we'll do that quickly, and then we'll get you guys out of here. So yeah, like I said, despise this team. Absolutely hate the team that I'm building, if I'm being honest. 3-5-7-3 is the only way to go. Super fragile at quarterback. Decent actually at running back, considering where I took these guys. And Kamara's just slipping. Let's see what happens with his suspension, if he gets suspended at all. If he does, I don't see it being any more than 4 games. 2 to 4 is what I've been saying all this time. 2 on the light side, 4 on the high side. There's no chance in the world that it's any more than 6 games for Kamara, and I'd be shocked if he gets 6 games, if I'm being honest with you. So I've been drafting him a fair amount. If he's slipping to 100s, which is where he's at right now, I already do have a fair amount of exposure to Kamara, and I'm going to probably continue to have quite a bit of exposure, especially in teams like this where I'm a little bit weak at running back. As long as Barkley and Montgomery can get me through for the first couple of weeks until Kamara gets back, perfect. And then I'm kind of laughing. So definitely be taking Cade Otton again for a little bit of correlation. Do I just go with Trey McBride? Philly, Chicago, San Francisco. I am going to go with Trey McBride, even though I have Hollywood Brown. That's all right. Gives me the most correlation, so I'll take him. Decent rookie year. I expect him to be the tight end 1. We'll see what happens with Zach Ertz. Maybe Zach Ertz gets traded. Maybe he gets cut. I don't particularly see Zach Ertz playing football for the Arizona Cardinals this year, whether he, is still a little bit hurt. Like I said, he gets traded or potentially gets cut. Any of those things. I just don't see Zach Ertz playing on that team. I think another team would be willing to give anything, just a bag of footballs for Zach Ertz, a playoff team, quality veteran tight end that can do a lot of good things still in the NFL. So we'll see. One more tight end for my 3-5-7-3. Hate this team. Really, really hate this team. My least favorite team I've built this entire best ball season. And that's not a hyperbole. I am not joking. I absolutely despise this team. Wide receivers are in a good spot. A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel, Mike Williams, Brandon Ayuk, George Pickens, Hollywood Brown, Tyler Boyd, Schultz, Trey McBride, likely going to be Cade Otton unless someone scoops me on him, which I don't particularly see happening. I do have a full stack with Trey Lance, full stack with CJ Stroud, with Devin Singletary, and then Dalton Schultz. And then the single stack, Kenny Pickett and George Pickens there. So definitely going to be flexing a lot of wide receivers on this team. And then Barkley and Montgomery hopefully get me through to when I get Alvin Kamara back on this squad. Fragile as F at quarterback. This team's only going to go as far as these quarterbacks take it, to be honest. We'll see if we can piece together some reasonable scores week in, week out with, like I said, no same bye weeks. So I'm going to get the most possible amount of play out of these quarterbacks. Same thing with my tight ends. I'll get the most amount of play and opportunity for these players to crack my lineup. So fingers crossed they put up playable weeks for me. We'll see if Cade Otton gets sniped on me here. Travis Kelce, so he's just got one last tight end to take. Mike Gesicki, perfect. Cade Otton, there we go. There's the team. Hate this team. One of my least favorite teams. Just broke it down. But I got double stack Trey Lance with Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. Got the single stack with Kenny Pickett and George Pickens. Double stack CJ Stroud, Devin Singletary, and Dalton Schultz. Trey McBride and Marquise Hollywood Brown, bringing it back for correlation against Philadelphia with A.J. Brown, as well as Chicago with Roschon Johnson, as well as San Francisco with my Trey Lance and San Francisco stacks. So that's that's what I like to do. Look at week 17 correlation. And if it's an either or situation, I'm taking a little bit of correlation. I got Alvin Kamara with Cade Otton in week 17. Tyler Boyd and George Pickens, I think, are week 16. You got Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, week 16. So just looking to pick up a little bit of correlation here and there wherever I can. Hate this team, but it is what it is. Those things happen. I got sniped a few times. It is what it is. So let's take a look at these poodles. I got some slow poodles. Might as well take a look at these while we're all here and see where we're at. So at the turn on this one, I was the 101. Obviously took Justin Jefferson, DK a little bit early, Chubb a little bit late, so that's looking good. Here's what my options are looking like as far as correlation and things like that. Like I said earlier in the show, I like to set up my queue, obviously, especially for these slow drafts. Set up your queue, and then, it's pretty easy to forget what you were building towards or what you were looking to do, when you're waiting potentially 3-4 days between picks, especially when I'm at the turn like this. So what do I want to do? Might go with Hawkinson to obviously build out the Vikings stack. And then I'll have to bring it back with, I could go Hawkinson and Aaron Jones for the week 17 correlation. Could do that. I'd be reaching, but Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk, not likely to be doing that. Seattle, I could definitely go with, that's a little early, but Jackson Smith and Jigba as far as ADP is concerned, 11 spots ahead. Don't love it. Don't particularly hate it. It is what it is. And then that's obviously setting up Geno Smith, where I'd be bringing it back with probably George Pickens later, or, Deontay Johnson. You got your options there for the Pittsburgh bring back. That's why I have Pickens here, obviously. Like I said earlier in the previous draft, when I took Trey Lance, I've been thinking about that quite a bit, taking the San Francisco route, and then trying to get a little more exposure to Trey Lance is really what I'm thinking about a little more and more. Considering I did just do it and I did it in a few drafts earlier, I don't think I'm going to go that route. So I'll probably end up going Hawkinson and Aaron Jones for the week 17 correlation. I definitely don't want Kenny Walker in this one with DK Metcalf, because then I can still have options with maybe Noah Fant for the Geno Smith stack, obviously Seattle stack. Yeah, so we're going to be going TJ Hawkinson. And do I want to take... There's also Nuke Hopkins, who I've always been a massive fan of Nuke. I just think he's going to be getting traded, and then it's to where? Likely Buffalo. Then I can mix in some New England. Do I want another running back here instead? Jefferson and Metcalf should be making my lineup pretty much every single week. I'm going to go like this. Could get relatively interestingly unique and go Hawkinson and Kittle. Don't particularly love to do that, but it's a way to get a little bit unique. And one of these guys there's going to be a few weeks where one of these guys end up in your flex. I don't typically like to do that though. So I probably won't be doing that right now. Hawkinson and Jones. Let's do that. Let's set up the double stack with Minnesota, and then the bring back with Green Bay. And then we're also going to set up probably Jaden Reed for this team as well. So there we go. There's that one. I got a couple more slows going if we want to take a peek into that. Let's look here. This one, pick number 8. Went AJ Brown, took Jalen Hurts, DK again, Drake London, Miles Sanders. Love this team. This is where I might take it. So again, I set up my queue. I got it ready to go. I know where I'm looking at. Might take Ayuk here or full stack Dallas Goedert. And I'm probably going to do that because I don't think I have enough exposure to the full stack with Dallas Goedert there. Again, with how weak I perceive the week 17 matchup against Arizona being, I'm taking a lot of Eagles. So that's what I'm going to do. Double stack Jalen Hurts. And then I'm going to bring back some correlation likely with AJ Brown right here. Sorry, Marquise Hollywood Brown right there. That's what I'm going to do. Let's take Dallas Goedert. I got one more. What's this one? Pick number 7. Again, Jalen Hurts, Ramondre, AJ Brown, Christian Watson. So again, set up my queue. This is what I'm looking at. Definitely won't be taking Justin Herbert. No real need to take AJ or Aaron Jones. Miles Sanders is a guy that I really, really like. Taking a fair amount of him. Yeah, it's either Miles Sanders or Brandon Ayuk. Maybe Kyle Pitts, but I've been taking a lot of him, and that's a bit of a reach. Not super interested in that right here. I do have a lot of AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, and Sanders, so don't particularly love that, I suppose. But right at ADP, I'd like another running back. I don't love Ramondre Stevenson's playoff schedule. Chiefs, Denver, Buffalo, at Denver, at Buffalo. All three of those teams are tough against the run. So I'm going to bolster this with a little bit of more Miles Sanders, who I really like. And I like his playoff schedule: Atlanta, Green Bay, and Jacksonville in week 17. So yeah, there we go. There's the slow drafts. Get an extra little bonus pick in there with you. So there we go. That's it. That's the episode. Come back next week. Like I said, I'm going to have a guest joining me, so it won't just be me chatting. A little bit of red face, golf season, baby. So it's getting it's getting a little suntan out there. But either way, like I said, check back next week. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way out for me. Every Wednesday, we're going to be doing this at 9 p.m. Eastern time, 7 p.m. Mountain time, which is where I am, 6 p.m. Pacific time, all the times. Don't forget to hit that like button, like I said. And remember, with Off the Schneid, if you're afraid to be wrong, you will never be right.